Are you watching it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know when it pops up.
You got just over a minute.
Well, I started it, though. I usually start a couple minutes early, play my intro music, which I don't have with me now. But there's going to be a delay. There's always a delay.
You're on.
All right, good. There it is right there. At least it's sunny there. Okay, so somebody can see me. There we go. It is sunny today. It's about 37 degrees right now, actually. So, hey, Jonathan, Mad Swimbaiter, what's up, buddy? Yeah, okay, so So I am not on Starlink. I disconnected from Starlink and I'm just up on AT&T 4G right now. So I guess I can start with that because I was gonna leave the Starlink connected, but I didn't know how well it would stream. And I don't know, the last time I tried to stream Starlink from this location didn't work very well. When we set up Starlink last time, oops, hey, look at that. My phone's buzzing telling me it's noon. It's time for a live stream. When we set up Starlink last time here, it worked. It took about 5 or 6 minutes to connect, maybe closer to 10 minutes to connect. And there's a message that popped up said that I was outside of the service area, which I knew that. Now, according to their website, last time I looked, we were outside of the service area for field day last June when I was using Starlink. And according to the website then, they targeted this area to be covered with Starlink by the end of 2022. Well, tomorrow's December. I mean, this is the end of 2022. And it's still giving me the message that it's outside of the coverage area. However, it seems to work just fine. I can't really complain about the service, really, because it seems to work just fine. So, but as far as live streaming goes, I've live streamed many times on my AT&T 4G, and it always works fairly well. I think you guys are probably seeing me at 720p right now. That's as high as the YouTube app will go on a mobile device live stream. There's some other apps you can get that are supposed to fix that, and I don't know. I haven't really messed with that. But is that a deer in the background? No, Kyle, that is not a deer. That's a trailer. That's a trailer, Kyle. That's what that is. We don't have deer that big in Texas. So, thank you for joining me today. Just wanted to do a quick walkthrough. This is not going to be a very long live stream. Just wanted to do a quick walkthrough and kind of show you guys what's going on here. So we can switch. I think I can switch camera. Yeah, here it is. All right. So here's the setup. And there's the Starlink right there. That's on a gigaparts mast. That's it's about 25-ish feet in the air right now. And I got it up that high so that because it always tends to point that direction. And I got it up that high so it would get over the trees. And once I did that, man, it really kind of opened up. We've been watching Netflix on it at night after the sun goes down. And I downloaded some files before we went live here. So it's working well for supposedly outside of the service area. Let's see. There was a question or something. Jason, sinus is acting up. Yes, yeah. So I should have said that first. I apologize for my sniffles. I woke up in the middle of the night last night around 2:30 a.m. and I couldn't even breathe. My nose was so stopped up. So I took a couple Benadryl, turned the TV on, waited for it to kick in. I finally started to nod off again. I went back to sleep. I did not hunt this morning. I shot me a big deer yesterday. I got a decent sized buck. He was about a 14-inch wide spread on his antlers, and his if you know how to rate antlers, his G1 brow tines were nice and tall. One of them on one side was almost forked. And then his G2 and 3 tines were all nice and symmetrical. Although his G3 on one side, I don't remember which side it was broken, like he'd been in a fight somewhere. So it was kind of like broken off and rubbed kind of smooth there. But anyway, it was like in the 60s mid-60s yesterday, and a big cold front came through last night, and we were out here in the campsite, and the wind was picking up, and it would cool down. And then this morning, the first time I looked at my phone this morning, it was about 32. Did you look at your phone? You see what?
It was about 32, 33.
About 32? Okay, so yeah, it was like 57 yesterday morning at this same time. It was 32 this morning. And right now it's about 37, 38 last time I looked at the thing. So whatever that cold front blew in last night, blew in some sort of something. My sinuses and my allergies this season have been really bad. I used to have bad allergies when I was a kid. They kind of subsided when I grew up, and every now and then they'll act up, but they've acted up several times this season. There's something in the air this season that's not usually there. So anyway, so yeah, apologies for the sniffles into the camera, but that's what that is. So switch this again. All right, so this guy right here is a new Flex solar panel, not Flex radio, but Flex Solar. This company right here, they sent me this panel, and I set it up yesterday and tinkered with it a bit. I'm going to do a video on it. I really like that panel. Okay, it's currently plugged into this guy, which is a EcoFlow River battery box, and it's bringing in about 65. You probably can't see it right now. Probably it's too bright outside. But the screen here shows that the battery is about 90%. It's bringing in 74 watts of power from the solar panel, which is like 8 amps or something like that. 74 divided by 12, whatever that number is. 8 times 2. Yeah, that's about right. And it's currently using it's fluctuating between like 23 to 33 watts usage-wise, and that's running the Starlink. So the Starlink is officially off grid because it's running on that. We don't have a generator running right now, and the solar panel is keeping it powered. So that's kind of fun. The other solar panel here, that's the new Gigaparts 150 watt panel, and I've used that a little bit and had really good success with it. I like the way it folds up and is nice and compact. You can see one of these squares, the whole thing folds up to that size of square. And then it's like, probably like 3 or 4 inches thick, something like that, when it's all folded up. It comes with power poles on it, which is right here. That's and this got a really large, this is probably, I don't know, a 6 or 8 gauge cable. Of course, there's 2 cables inside of it, positive and negative, but the covering's probably like an 8 gauge or something like that cable in fact, it says right there, 14 gauge, that's the wire inside of it. This covering here is a nice and thick cable in here. So it's got 14 gauge wire to each power pole, one 14 gauge for the positive, one for the negative. But that's what it comes in. And then it has this little pouch to roll the cable up into. And that, I've been pulling 7 to 8 amps from that 150 watt right there, which is really good. I just lay it on the ground. 45 Auto says, I'm late, feel free to start over. Sure, yeah, let me get right on that. But I can't see the chat very well, unfortunately, guys. I'm sorry if I'm missing questions or something, but it's bright out here and the screen is small and I just can't see the chat very well. But this is the Gigaparts battery box, obviously, that I've been talking about for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I put the Jenison controller on it with the power poles. I cut the connections off of this Jenison and put power poles on it myself. And then this has been working really well. I'll take this with me to the deer stand to charge up my phone, charge up my my headlamp, and the little battery pack that heats that heated vest I've got. I'll charge a bunch of stuff on that, so that works really well. I have not used that for actual POTA or radio yet, but that's coming. As soon as I get time to go out on a POTA and do that. Currently right now, this is my 12-volt fridge, and it's about 29 degrees according to that right there, which you probably can't see. I've got this charge controller is not doing anything except for telling me what the battery's at. I'm just using it as a screen right now. I did have the solar panel plugged in here a minute ago, but I unplugged it to plug it in the battery box. So this 15 amp hour Bioenno is running the fridge, and of course, since it's cold, so cold outside right now, it doesn't really matter. It's not really running, but it is keeping it. I get to see the screen on the fridge and make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do and that kind of thing. See if I can check the chat real quick. Deer stands on the air, that'd be fun. Shalom. Buffering, not buffering. Some people say it's buffering, not buffering. Nothing I can do about that. I'm on AT&T 4G in the woods, so this is it. Keep going. That's the Renogy power station that I talked about on a live stream last week. There's my ultra custom made for me battery box. Okay, I've got my kick-ass 12-volt electric blanket here, and I'm gonna do a video about this, but it comes with, I haven't even opened this yet. It hadn't been cold enough, besides this morning, which I didn't go hunting. It hadn't really been cold enough here to use this yet, this trip. So, right there, I'm trying to find the connectors to this thing. Right there, okay. So this guy, there we go. All right, so this guy's, it's got a on-off switch, I guess. Just got one button. And it's got cigarette lighter adapter on it. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to cut that off, put power poles on it, because that's going to be fun to run from one of the battery boxes. So you'll be seeing a video on that upcoming soon. This is my Lifesaver jerry can that they sent me. It does, you fill it up with water and it filters water out for drinking, filters out toxins, and they say it does a bunch of different stuff, toxins, bacteria, diseases, and whatnot. I'm not sure how they tested the diseases thing, but hey, that's what they claim. It's got to be better than just drinking unfiltered water. So, what season is this? Shotgun? How does it work in Texas? No, okay, so basically, let me put the sun over here. This is rifle season in Texas. Rifle season starts the first Saturday in November. About a month before that, bow season starts the first Saturday in October. I've never been into bow hunting, really. I can kind of see the appeal, but I've never owned a bow. I never really learned how to shoot one. And quite frankly, October in Texas is too hot. There's a lot of the times where the first weekend or two of November, when we're rifle hunting, we'll be sitting out in the stand or in the field in shorts because it's still like 75, 80 degrees during the day anyway. So I just, October in Texas, it's real, at least where I'm at. Now, if you're up in the Panhandle, or maybe maybe in hill country, or maybe out kind of west towards the desert, then maybe that might be a little bit better for bow season in October. But I've always just thought it was just too hot to go hunting in October in Texas, at least in this part of Texas. So, and I just don't care much about bow hunting. I'd like to learn it someday, but it's not high on my priority list. So that's what that is. So it's rifle season right now. Rifle season goes through the first weekend in January. So this year it actually ends on January 1st, because that's the first Sunday in January. That's when that weekend is. And then extension season goes for another 2 weeks, where you can shoot doe and spike. In this county, I can shoot 1 buck per season, which I did that yesterday. So I've got my 1 buck for this season. I can shoot 2 doe and a spike for the rest of the season. So I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. I'll probably try to shoot 1 more. We've been seeing a lot of really small deer on the property so far that are great to, 1 to 2 years old, maybe 3-year-old deer that, if you wait a year or two, and then they'll be a lot bigger next year. So we just kind of let those go. Front bumper season is year-round? Yeah, that's for sure. Any feral pigs on the lease? Yes. Saw some pigs the first weekend I was out here. We've got pigs on our trail cams. They come out mostly at night. But yes, yeah. In fact, tonight and tomorrow, if I see pigs, that's probably when I'm going to shoot again. If I see more deer, I probably won't shoot another deer this weekend. There's not much point. I'll be back out next week sometime. I might try to shoot another deer later in the season. But right now that I've got my 1 buck for the season, pigs is primarily what I'm going to be looking for. Again, pardon the sniffles. I've got allergies, and that's just how it is. Okay. Muzzle loader before, I believe muzzle loader follows bow season, if I'm not mistaken. I believe muzzle loader follows bow season. Okay. I've never muzzle loaded hunted either. Black powder, muzzle load, that kind of thing. I've never done that. But I think it's an extended season pass rifle. So how many deer can you get? In this county, I can get 1 buck, 2 doe, and 1 spike per season. There's other counties down south where the deer are more plentiful that can get up to 2 buck and 3 doe per season, but it varies by county. And in Montague County, which is where I'm at right now, it's only 1 buck and 2 doe and 1 spike. And a spike, for those who may not know, a spike is a buck with an asymmetrical antler rack. So if they have a single, what's called a tine, or a single point on one side, but then the other side looks kind of what you would call normal, it forks the way it should, then that's called a spike. And a lot of the times it's a genetic thing. Sometimes they'll grow out of it if they're really young. We've been seeing a lot of young spikes on the lease this year. So we're kind of hoping that in the next year or two, they'll grow out of, because bucks shed their horns every year. So when they shed their horns sometime next spring, and then February, March, something like that, when they shed their horns and they start growing horns again towards middle of next year, they might grow back to be not a spike, to be a symmetrical antler rack again. So we're going to let the little ones go and hope they come back larger next year. But the larger ones, you can shoot those. Sometimes people will tell you that that's a genetic malformity, and if they breed, they'll breed more spikes. So a lot of people like to shoot them and get them off the property because they're not, that's not what people are looking for as far as when they go hunting for bucks. But there's been evidence that used to be a long time ago. That was kind of the theory, that they would always breed more spikes and they would always be a spike for the rest of their lives. But that's not really, I think that's been proven to be not true. It's, they can shed their horns this year and come back as a symmetrical buck next year. So especially if they're really young and small, we don't shoot those. But if they're larger, you can shoot them and butcher them. And somebody said something about, have you made a vid with all the issues about your camper? I'm getting to that. Hold on 1 second. That's it right there. That's the new camper that I've been having all the trouble with. So someone said something earlier in the chat, I think I said about malformed antlers can be indicative of injuries to the opposing rear leg. That's true, but yeah, a spike is generally genetic, as my understanding. I mean, there's antlers that can be malformed, but they usually have forks or more than 1 point on one side. A spike actually just has 1 point on the other side. We got a couple of them walking around here with a spike on both sides. They're really young deer, though. You can tell they're only a year or two old, and they're not very big yet. So it's good. So if you find one that you think is 3 or 4 or 5 years old, something that looks a little bit older, you can go ahead and shoot him and butcher him. Somebody said something earlier about not shooting it if you don't eat it, and I agree with that. I wouldn't just shoot a spike and leave it. I would process it and take it to the butcher and actually, make venison jerky or sausage or something out of it. So I'm not going to just shoot a deer and leave it in the field. I don't really agree with that. I don't really even agree with that for pigs, even though they're so plentiful. You can hunt pigs year-round in Texas because there's so many of them. And there's organizations similar to Hunters for the Hungry, where if you don't want to pay to process the pig, or you just don't want to eat it for whatever reason, you can take it to organizations that'll cut it up and process it and use it in like soup kitchens and whatnot. So there's a lot of programs out there like that. So it's never a good idea to just shoot something and leave it in the field, in my opinion. All right, let's look at the camper. How do you tell the difference between a double spike and a some kind of buck? You put your scope on it and look at it. Seriously. A little nubbin buck will have just like, the points will be very, very small on the top of their head. A spike might be 4 to 5, maybe even to 10 to 12 inches tall. So the spike is usually a lot taller than a nubbin buck. Yeah, like a little button buck. Yeah. Yeah, the spike is usually a lot taller. Button bucks usually only happen the first year, I think. They're really young, generally speaking. All right, so this is the camper. And first, the good news. I got it back. And that's pretty good, I think. Okay, and they fixed my slide room. The main issues with the slide room was that this back end right here, when I slide it in, would not go in all the way. It would stick out about, yay far, something like that. And they fixed that. So that's fixed. And since the slide room was off kilter, it tore up a bunch of the linoleum flooring inside. And they fixed that as well. Okay, so here's my floor. And it's all fixed. There was a big gash in the floor right there. Big gash in the floor back there towards the back. And that's all fixed. So they fixed that up. And that's all. And the slide room seems to work. I've slid it in and out a couple of times since I got it back, and everything seems to work fine in that regard. What they didn't do, they didn't send me I left a set of keys with them. They didn't send that back. When the courier dropped it off, I'm like, where are my keys? He's, I don't know. I didn't give me any keys. So I've got 2 sets of keys. It came with 2 sets of keys. So now I have 1 set of keys. They said to check the water heater cover and see if it was in there. They're not in there. So I don't know where my keys are. I'll be recording a more detailed video about this and putting it on my Unplugged channel soon. Also, they stole my propane bottle. Well, what they did was they probably took the propane bottle off for safety reasons while they have it in the shop, and they forgot to put it back on. And I get it, and I'm like, where's my propane bottle? And again, the driver, he's like, I don't know, I've just brought it to you. He was a third party. He was not affiliated with the shop or with Forest River. Forest River's the one who delivered it to me, or paid to have it delivered to me, I should say. But they took my propane bottle off, did not return it. They did not return my set of keys I left with them. They did not fix these jacks right here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me turn the camera. Yeah, I hear you, Josh. Well, what he did say about the bottle was that, yeah, honestly, I don't even care about the bottle, but I had a Bluetooth sensor magnet on the bottom of it, which is a $50 sensor that Bluetooths to your phone and tells you how much propane you've got left in the bottle. Guess what? It's on the bottle. It's still there. And I'm like, you need to at least send me the sensor back. He told me to go buy another bottle and then invoice him. So I'll probably do that. But I'm like, I need my sensor back, guys. That's a $50 Bluetooth sensor that you guys just kept, and forgot to return. This jack here still, it's pushed in that way. You may not be able to see it in the camera. But the whole trailer's kind of leaning over right now, leaning over this way. Now, we're on a downhill slope here, so that's part of the reason it's leaning. But that jack is jacked up, high. That jack over there is also jacked up. You can see how it's kind of angled. Those jacked up on me with when I took them to the Grand Canyon. And I asked them to replace those, and they did not do that. The other thing was that this tire here is flat. This is my spare, well, this is not my spare tire. My spare tire's on there. This came back flat. I was on a trip. I brought it home, parked it at the house, came out the next morning, and this tire was flat. It was over here on the camper at the side. So I took the spare off right there and switched them out. I took this tire to a tire shop and I said, I need to get this replaced or repaired. And a tire shop, they fill a big tub of water and they'll put the whole thing underwater to try to find the leak. The leak is right there in the freaking wheel. The wheel has a hole in it. The wheel that was at the time on a 2 or 3 month old camper, the wheel has a hole in it. And I asked them to replace that and they didn't do that. This is where the tire shop marked the wheel with the hole in it. And there's no air in this tire. So they completely ignored that. They completely ignored my request for the jacks to be replaced. And everything else was pretty much done. So the biggest thing was obviously the slide room and the flooring that it tore up, and that seems to be repaired. But 2.5 freaking months to repair that, I think they were waiting on, parts issues are affecting them just like they're affecting everybody else in the world right now. So I think they were waiting on parts most of that time, but they could have tackled some of these other things that I asked them to do that they ignored. And, could have done that while they were waiting on parts. I don't know. But that's where that is. So I'm going to record a more long drawn out video with more details and put it on my other channel about that. But good news is that it's back. And I don't know. Overall, still a disappointing situation. What about the trim and under the trim? Oh yeah, they fixed all that too. Yeah, I got up underneath there and kind of looked at it. Yeah, the covering on the undercarriage. Yeah, they replaced all that and refoamed it under there. And I guess it's fine because the guy drove it from Huntsville all the way back to me and that didn't damage it. And then I brought it up here to the hunting lease and that hadn't damaged it. So I guess time will tell on that. My biggest fear is that they're going to, you know, as I continue to use it and take it places, other things are going to fall apart on it. That's my biggest fear. But so far, driving it, the courier driving it from Huntsville to DFW, North Texas, it was fine. The small hour-and-a-half trip up here to the hunting lease, it was fine. And and that's it. So, but I think that's everything. I think that's pretty much everything. But 132 people watching. Y'all let me know if you have any questions. Cheaply made RV trailers is the fault of the manufacturer. Poor customer service is the fault of the dealer. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, and McElroy's RV in Huntsville, Texas had terrible customer service. Just really, really disappointed with them overall. And the RV itself. Now, once I finally got a hold of Forest River, then they're the ones who would actually reply to me and let me know what's going on and told me the status of things, and they're the ones who paid to have it delivered to me. So I'm fairly happy with Forest River about that, but if they hadn't cheesed out on building the thing in the first place, then we wouldn't have had any of these problems. So let's see, looking at the chat here. Ham Radio Dude says, did you get a deer yet? I got one about 2 weeks ago, about 60 miles an hour. Yeah, I heard a lot of people have been running into deer. In fact, on the way out here, I saw several deer and pigs on the side of the road that had been obviously hit by car. Yes, I got a nice sized buck yesterday. Took that in, having some bacon wrap back straps cut out of it, getting some Italian sausage and some meatballs and stuff like that. So yeah, that all happened yesterday. So I've been really happy with my electric e-bike here, riding that out to the deer stand each morning and each evening. And I've just got it put in the shed. I've got it put in the shed right now, so I didn't want dew getting on it overnight. I haven't taken it out yet this morning. But it's been really happy with that. And it's nice and quiet, so you can ride to the deer stand and strap stuff to the luggage rack on the back and carry a few things. I usually strap my battery box there, carry it to the deer stand with me to keep everything charged up, and then carry it back at night to charge it. So been happy with that. But that's about it. This is my old camper, and it's a 2011 Dutchman Coleman Lantern Edition, 27 foot. And I took a bunch of pictures of it and put it for sale on Facebook, and I don't really know if I have it priced too high or if people just aren't in the market or if Facebook's just a terrible spot to sell, which I think it is. But I'm trying to sell that, but I need to take it up to Outback RV in Denton, which is that place that's been allowing me to record videos of new products, and just tell them, get them to give me like an appraisal on it. Say, what is this thing actually worth? How much can I expect to get for it? And if that number's too low, I might just keep the darn thing and turn it into a mobile ham shack and rent it. So, is it a Flying Dutchman? No, it's not a Flying Dutchman. The Flying Dutchman. But that's it right there. But you know what? This is a nice, that one's actually quite nice because it's got central heating and air. The new one has central, well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't have central heating or air. The air comes out of the top. Air conditioner vent only on the new one, and the heat comes out of one vent on the floor in the new one. This one has several vents in the floor, and it has the air conditioner vents in the ceiling, and the floor is much more insulated than this one. And it's just an overall higher class of trailer. But you know, today, if you were to buy one of these new today, they'd probably be like 60 grand. I didn't pay anywhere near that for it. I bought it used. But I don't know. I keep going back and forth on whether I want to keep this one or not, and maybe do some ham radio updates to it and use it for not long trips, because I pulled this to Huntsville, or to Huntsville, not last year, the year before, and that was a beating with a non-diesel pickup truck. So I don't want to do that again. I don't mind pulling it short places. I've taken it to Belton 2 or 3 times, which is only like a 2.5 hour drive. That was fine, but I'm not driving it 10 hours to Huntsville again, or 15 hours to Dayton. I'm not doing that with my current pickup truck situation. So yeah, that's where that is. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. I'm going to become an RF. It's going to become the RF Dutchman. Yeah. Give me a price. I can't. Christo something. You just have to do a Cummins swap. Yeah, well, Power Strokes are actually international engines. But the price of diesel fuel, man. I just, if I was RVing full time, or like, 6 months out of the year or something, yeah, I'd go get a diesel. But I just don't want to pay for diesel fuel when I'm not needing it. So it's one of the reasons I got this truck and chose not to get a diesel when I bought it 9 or 10 years ago, whenever that was. But I got my hood rhino lined. Nice rhino lining here on the hood and the grill. I've got some new headlights that I haven't put in yet. So, how much bonding? Oh, I haven't done any bonding yet. You mean bonding for HF radio? I haven't done anything to it yet. So, but I'm going to bond all 4 corners of the bed, and I'm going to bond the doors to the cab, and we'll see what else it needs. Ooh, that's a nice scratch right there. Driving through the woods, buddy. Driving through the woods. This is a custom mount that I had a guy make for me. Oops, there it is right there. And it has an arm that comes in and goes straight up, and that's what holds my full-size tar heel on it. I don't have it on there right now, obviously, because I haven't done the wiring for it yet. But the mount and the tar heel are all complete. I just got to run a coax and the control cable into the cab, and then I'll be done. And then once I do that, I'll probably do the bonding at the same time. But, whew, okay. That's pretty much it. Again, I'm sorry for the sniffles. It's just allergy season in Texas. It's probably allergy season everywhere, actually. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. This is what we're doing. I don't know if the streams was solid or buffering or what it was doing. Hopefully everybody heard it okay and got to see everything okay. But we will be, if you go take a look at my channel, I'm doing a European happy hour on Friday, 2 days from now, 2 p.m. Texas time, which is 8 p.m. in England, because they're UTC 0. And Callum and Chris and several of the other guys from Europe, somebody from Scotland, a guy from where else? Chris sent me, Digital Ham Radio Chris, 2E0UKH. He sent me the contact for a bunch of people he knows over there. He goes, invite this person. So we should have a fairly good number of people on the stream on Friday. I'm looking forward to that. Should be a fun time there. So no allergies in, where are you? Michigan? Too cold and it's snowing. Well, there you go. Yeah, it seems like my allergies kick up here when the temperature drops, because yesterday it was like 65, 70 degrees during the day. I didn't have any problems. Then that cold front blew in last night, and that's when all my allergies started to kick in. So, I don't know. It's just the way it is if you want to be out in the woods. Actually, that happened at home last week, so it doesn't even matter. So, 73 to all. Thanks for hanging out today. Go check the channel and get the link for the European happy hour that's happening on Friday. And we'll see you then. And then on Sunday, we'll be live streaming at our normal time on Sunday night again, too. So, 73 all, and thanks for joining today.